Hi and welcome to my latest YouTube video. I haven't made one for quite a while. It's not been weather for drone flying or to visiting new places, and this is completely different from any of the videos that I've done before. Just a few weeks ago I decided to make a lathe. No particular reason, just a project, make a lathe. Then you make a lathe, what do you do with it? Looking at YouTube videos, etc., and other people who have made their own lathes, they go to pen making. So I decided to have a go at that, see what we could do. I got a kit and some blanks, and off we went. I liked it so much that I decided to buy a proper lathe, a lathe that would be capable of making other things besides pens, which unfortunately I can't do with a homemade one. I can make pens, key rings, letter openers, things like that go between 2 points of the lathe. Anything that needs a base plate, such as a bowl and other things like that, you can't do with a homemade one. Well, not with my homemade one anyway. Perhaps with one that probably costs as much nearly as an ordinary lathe, you could do. So, as I say, I've ordered a lathe, which should be here by the end of the week, and I thought before the lathe comes and before I dismantle the one I made, I thought I might make a video of actually making a pen on the old lathe. First of all, I'd like to show you some of the pens that I have made. I'll lower the camera down for this so you can see them better. I've also made these stands for putting the pens on, because I intend going to craft fairs, so you need something to display your pens on. These are the basic streamline pens. That one is turned from wood. It's actually hazel. The tips, you can get different colour. You can get the gunmetal, chrome, gold, etc. That one is turned from acrylic, which is actually comes from France and was made in the 1930s, 40s era. Someone found all the acrylic and decided to buy the lot, and you do get a certificate of authenticity when you do buy the blanks from him. There's another one. These are all slimline pens. This is a letter opener. That comes in 2 parts. You just screw it together when you receive it. You do have to be careful with these, because apparently it's illegal to sell them to anybody under 18 because they can be classed as an offensive weapon. So you just have to be careful with those. We'll put that back over there. This is a stand I made for the key rings. That one, these two are made from sapele. Beautiful wood to work with. Just basic key rings, and that one's acrylic. Moving on to the special pens. Okay, this one is a dragon pen. Very, very heavy. Very, very heavy indeed. Twist and turn to get the point out. And this is a bolt action pen, 3 bolt action pens, different colours, gunmetal, chrome, gold. The clip is shaped like a rifle. The head is like a bullet, and on the side you have the bolt action to bring the nib down. Okay, we've got 3 of those. These are the latest ones that I've done. These are simply slimline pens, but you buy the clip separately, and the clips are very expensive. They are inlaid with crystal and they're gold plated. They're expensive also because there is a donation made to cancer awareness, etc. 10% of the proceeds go to cancer research or to one of the other cancer charities. And that's it. They're the ones that I have up to now. I have made pen and pencil sets. I've also, what else have we had? I think that's about it. That's all we made up to now. Mainly pen and pencil sets, which have all gone, and well, they have been more or less made to order. So without further ado, we'll go up to the shop and we'll make a pen on the old lathe. Well, here we are in the workshop. This is my lathe that I made. A cheap electric drill from Home Base, £15. Plywood and some decking. Okay, so this pen we're going to make, I'm making it from this sapele piece. And this is the kit that we use. It's a gold plated one. Not much gold in it, I expect, but it's gold. It's the gold colour anyway. And the blank that I'm going to turn is sapele. Out the kit first, we need the 2 tubes. These actually go inside the blank, the wooden blank, or the acrylic blank, depending on which type you're making. And they're actually glued inside the base, but first of all we need to drill a hole right through the blank. We've got the tubes out now, so we put that safely away till later, because we don't need it again till everything's finished and we're assembling the pen. And what we do is to mark out the length of the tube. All the streamline ones are the same length, but you do get other pens, etc., which are different lengths and different circumferences. So both of them are the same length, so we can use the same one to actually mark out. So we mark the 2 there, and then we put a line across the middle. That shows which way the grain is going, so we can put them back together in the same way as the grain goes. Not much grain is sapele, but some of the ones we use, and naturally the acrylics, you want to have them going the same way. They look better when the pen's put together. So I'm just going to cut those 2 lengths. I just have well, it's like an angle grinder on a stand, which I use to cut those. I really need a bandsaw, but that will have to wait, I'm afraid. Bandsaw is very good for cutting the straight lines on those. I have the scroll saw there, but that does not cut very straight at all. It's not meant for that job at all. So here we have the pillar drill. We need to take this out. This is left from our last pen, because this is what I use to compress the pen bits into the tubes. So we will be using that later. So what we need is the 7mm drill. We've got it on the slim line. Again, if the bigger tubes, naturally you got to drill bigger holes. So keep everything labelled, then you know exactly what it is and what it's used for. So the drill goes into the watch your head. The drill goes into the pillar drill, and once it's tightened up, make sure it's central and tight, then we can carry on. Yeah, it's running through. Sometimes you can get them just off centre, which actually wouldn't do your blank any good at all. In fact, it would ruin it. So the blanks now, what we do is to find the centre is just a matter of crossing from corner to corner, and where they meet is the centre, which is just off screen, but I'm just marking out the centre of both of those blanks. That done now, we can carry on, and we can drill the holes now. As you can see, they're very narrow. To drill a hole right through, you need to have them as level as possible. There is a special vise that you can get which holds them square and level, but they're between £60 and £80. I think they come from America. That's certainly not worth the job. I have this one, which cost about 15, I believe. It does the job, but as I say, when I get the new lathe, you can do it a different way. You can actually do it in the lathe. You don't have to do it with the drill press at all. The lathe will actually drill the holes in if you have the right fittings. And what I've got to do now, what I do is bring it right down and push the blank right up to the drill, and that means it's going to go in straight. Like that, and push the blank up to it, then tighten the vise. Double check. Check again. Measure twice, 3 times, and drill once. There we go, we're drilling through the centre now. You got to take your time with this because it does get very hot. Not too bad with the wooden blanks, but the acrylic ones, they can actually melt with the heat of the drill bit, especially if it gets clogged up. You need to keep it clear, and you need to keep it cool. Now with the pillar drill, it will not go right through in one go. So what you've got to do, once you get so far, is to switch the drill off, which we will do in a second when we get to to the base of how far we can go in one swoop. Not a lot of difference, but you do need to, there we go, we stop the drill, loosen it up, and what we do now is to push the blank up onto the drill once you've cleaned all the sawdust off it. Push that up. By pushing it up like that, you know that you are central, as long as there's free movement. And then you tighten the vise to lock it in place, and then try 2 or 3 times to like that, to make sure it is running free. We don't want the hole elongating or anything. Little bit of a problem there. What it is, I'm not too sure. It's not reaching right down to go right through the hole. But anyway, the holes are drilled now. We just forward it on a bit. This is quite a long video, so I will be shortening some of the things which are just boring, they're just repetitive and boring. So we have now that the holes are drilled in both of them. And what we use to glue the tubes into the blanks is super glue, medium thickness super glue, and so that we can use it, the blanks straight away, turn them more or less straight away, we use an activator. A lot of people think super glue sets straight off, but it doesn't. It takes a few hours to set. But with the activator and the spray can, that makes it go off straight away, more or less. So what we do first is to rough the tubes up, because they are very smooth. We rough them up on sandpaper. Then we check them, make sure everything fits okay. Wants to be a fairly tight fit. Sometimes you've got to tap them in, but that's good. They need to be a tight fit. So they've both been roughed up now, and we'll put some super glue on this one. Just not a lot, just along the edges. Leave a space at the top so you can hold onto the tube without getting covered in glue. Right, now fast forward again, we've glued both of the tubes in. And what we're looking at now is to cut away the wood, the blank, till it gets down to the tube, because the blank has got to be the exact length of the tube. And we use this special drill, which you'll see in a second, go into the, there we go. And what it does, again, it's got to be the exact size that you need. The drill bit on this now fits inside the tube, inside the copper tube, which is inside the blank, and that goes down. Alright, we need the vise again here. That goes down, and the blades at the top trim off all the excess wood or acrylic, so that you actually get down to the tube and all level and square, etc. We do this again. Always make sure that it's running free, that it's not jamming. Otherwise, you probably drill through the side of the blank. There we are, that's one end done. And the same on the other side. The other end of the blank. Again, you got to take your time with this. It does get very hot, the drill bit. So you need to keep it cool. If it gets very hot, you need to stop and wait a couple of minutes, let it cool down. As I say, not too bad with the wooden blanks, especially the hard wood, but you can smell the burning sometimes. But with the acrylic, you can melt it, and it just ruin everything. You just have to start again and throw it away. Right, or a little bit slack there, I think. Not too sure, we're not reaching right down properly, but good to let it cool down for a second anyway. But we keep going just a little bit at a time. You can actually see, you've got to keep an eye on it, and you can actually see when you get to the right level to the copper tube, you can actually see it shining, the circle shining, and you know that's where you've got to be. You don't want to go any further than that. That just ensures that the blank is the exact length of the tube, and they need to be the exact length, otherwise the pen, etc. won't fit together properly. I see it there, you can just see it shining there. Here's the other one. Exactly the same with that one. So the top end just needs just a quick whiz to square it up, get the super glue off. On the other side again. And once this is done, we'll have the two blanks with the tubes glued in, and they'll both be the exact length that are needed to construct the pens. Then we put them on the lathe with the correct bushings. Again, different thicknesses of pens, etc. have different bushes. These are slimline, so we've got plenty of those bushes. But when you get new kits, such as the dragon pens, etc., all the others, you've got to buy a new set of bushes so that you work to the right depth, etc., the right thickness of the material. Still need a little bit on this one. And always check by pushing the drill down through the tube without it spinning, so that you know that it is running free. put the vise away now. That's finished with. The two pieces of wood we use later on to actually press the pen bits together, along with the round piece that we saw at the beginning of when we came in here. This is a pen making mandrel. Virtually impossible to make pens without it. It is 7mm, so the streamlined pens you just have the bushes that come with it, etc. Others bushes that you get slide onto that mandrel, 7mm internal, and the thickness that you need to bring the pen down to the blank. The thickness where it actually joins the nib and the bottom, etc., the clip. Not recommended hammering the copper with a hammer. Not recommended at all. I don't usually do it. Right, both the pieces are in the are chucked up in there and all ready now to start turning. The chisel been sharpened, and here's the main thing what you need when you are using a lathe: a face guard, especially a basic one like this, which is just an electric drill going at several thousand revs per minute. Anything flies off and hits you in the face, it's going to sting, and if it hits you in the eye, worse still. So we always wear a face guard when we're using the lathe. Right, there we go. When you're actually turning you want it going quite fast at first. What it needs doing first is rounding down, so it's circular instead of square, and it's got to be going quite fast to do that successfully without splitting the wood and without catching the wood, etc., on the corners. But I won't bore you with this right through because it does take quite a while. And you must make sure that your chisels are sharp. So we'll write down now to we just need the one on the right needs a little bit more taking off, so we'll do that on camera. The one on the left is down to size. But here we go, just bringing this down so that they're both more or less the same thickness, and the edges are level with the bushes. That's why you use the bushes. The end of your blank, when it's been turned, has got to be level with the bushes. Sometimes you leave it a little bit proud because after you've done this, naturally you've got to sand it down, smooth it all down. So sometimes you can leave it a little bit proud. Just a matter of gaining the experience to know how to leave it, how much you're going to sand. The acrylic ones don't need as much sand. Well, they do need as much sanding, but with a lot finer grit. Whereas the wooden blanks, and again depending on what type of wood it is, some will need a lot more sanding than others. So it's a matter of learning from your mistakes. You get down to this level sometimes and the wood just explodes off the mandrel, and you've got to start again. It's happened twice to me, but it's usually because of the glue. When you've glued it to the copper tube, it's not been smooth and covering all the surface, so you get a little bit that's not stuck to the tube, and if you catch that, it just explodes. I'll get rid of some of the sawdust here before we start sanding. And when we're sanding, we need to be at a very low speed, whereas the turning is a high speed job. Sanding needs to be done slowly. We start off with 120 grit and work up to usually about 1500. If we're doing acrylic, then we have little pads which go up to I think it's about 3000, possibly more, 4000. We use those with water, but that's another story. We will do an acrylic in the future, and when we get the new lathe we'll do an acrylic, and you can see the difference then of how we actually sand them down. So we start off with 120, which is rough, and with that you need to get all of the chisel marks out, etc. Now you keep using the grades of sandpaper till you get them absolutely smooth. When we're down and everything's smooth, we use methylated spirits on a piece of kitchen roll, or on a duster, a lint-free duster, whichever, to get all the dust off. You need to get rid of the dust because it does stick in any little grains, where it's not smooth at all. So, and you don't want to be applying polish to dust. So the methylated spirits gets rid of all the dust, sawdust, etc. At the same time, you clean up your the bushes, because they do tend to get if you in contact with the chisels, they do tend to get bring a little bit of oil up. So this cleans them up at the same time. But we do this 2 or 3 times. Make sure everything's spotlessly clean. As long as there's dust coming off and showing on the kitchen roll or your cloth, keep doing it. A little bit more on until you're doing it and your cloth is clean. A lot of people actually use super glue to polish the wooden ones. I've tried it, it's difficult. It takes a lot of practice to get it right to the end. Some have turned out okay, some have not, but I've started using this friction polish now. Perhaps not quite as good a shine as using the super glue, but it's a lot easier to apply. Several coats, you can see the shine coming up now. So you just keep applying the coats, let it dry, and use the other side of the kitchen roll to polish it up. Another coat, I said at least 3 or 4 coats. build it up. Quite expensive, the friction polish. I was surprised. I think it was about £18 for the container there in my hand. But if you're doing this, you've got to get the stuff lovely and smooth. Still needs more polish on, I think. Checking all around, make sure there's no marks or anything. When I first started doing this, I've got to this stage and there's been marks on it. I've had to go back and right through the sandpapers again, right back to the 120 grit and start again. Another coat of friction polish. Thing is, when you're polishing or sanding, either keep moving, don't stop in one spot. Staying in one spot will just create scratch marks, grooves, etc. Too expensive to throw away there. After each coat you can see it shining more and more. And that's what you're looking for, really high gloss, plus protection for the wood. If you didn't put polish on or anything, just left it, it wouldn't look very good and it would show finger marks, etc. And nobody wants a dull finger mark pen, so we just polish them as best we can. Then when we've done all that, we buff them. I have a buffer which fits in the drill, but I prefer just to use it as it is, because that's going round just as fast as that would if you put it in a drill, etc. So, and it does the job. Keep buffing, get the shine up. Check all round, check for scratch marks, etc. A bit more buffing. The more time you can spend doing this, the better the pen will look. You see now why they're called handcrafted pens. It does take quite a while to make them, and every one is unique. I'm more or less ready now to put it together. We're back to this now that I'm made. I use that in the drill press at the moment, but I have ordered some parts to actually make a proper press, but I'm not paying £60 to £80 for one. The parts to make it was £2.50 approximately, and the rest we'll put together, but it'll work exactly the same. Now we need all the bits from the pen kit. Keep them all together. Once we've got the press in the drill, then we can carry on. So what we've got to do now is that's got to be very, very tight so that it does actually stay level with the mandrel. We can take the face guard off now, that's not needed. One of those is very tight, I don't know why. They're all exactly the same, but there's just one that does get very tight. Well, there you see the one half of the pen, one half of the blank. And so we get the kit now and get all the little bits out. First of all, we'll put in the top, the nib end. It's not a nib, but that end is pressed in first. In this particular one, different pens, different ways of putting them together. New ones you really need instruction, because if you put them together wrong, then you can't get them apart and you've wasted your time and money. That's the refill and the twist mechanism. So we need the top first, the nib end, and that's pressed into our blank. There we go, that goes in there. Then we go over to the press. My very basic press is not very good because you need central pressure where you don't get it with this, unless you put it right in the middle, and sometimes you can't. It just depends what you're actually putting together. They're all a tight fit. There's a little hole in the middle there which the nib goes through. I call it a nib, it's not a nib, but you know what I mean. I need quite a lot of pressure to force it into the tube. You've got to make sure it stays central. If it twists, it can split the copper tube, it can split the wood. But there we go. Now if you've done it right, that should be smooth. There shouldn't be any difference in the thickness. Now this is a twist mechanism. You've got to make sure that you put it in the right way. One way you can see the groove there, and the other end is the screw end that the refill screws into. So you must make sure naturally that it's going in the right way. What we normally do is to get it just short of the line. Then we test it to I've not quite got the right distance here, not sure what's wrong. And we've got sawdust in into the twist mechanism. That's not good. We need to clear that out before we go any further. It's never happened before. I'm not too sure what's caused it. Possibly using the wrong block of wood, or the other one's MDF, and it may have just been too soft and just worked its way into the mechanism, the twist mechanism. But we need to get that out, that sawdust out, before we go any further. Right, we're sorted now. I'm trying it the other way up. We don't seem to have the right distance for some reason. I think we've actually moved the bed of the drill. See the line there. Screw the refill in, twist it, see how far it comes out. If it don't come out far enough, that's not quite far enough for me, then we put this in, press the mechanism in a little bit further, just a fraction at the time, because if you do it too much, then the refill is sticking out all the time, and you don't want that. Eventually I work out that the drill bed has been lowered. Yes. So it needs to be raised up slightly, and that's the problem. Once we get that right, and then away we go. Yeah, that's it. That's what we want. And so just squeeze down a little bit more, just a fraction at a time. And so if you go too far, your nib sticks out all the time, and you've wasted your time. Can't sell it with the nib stuck out. That's just about right. So we're almost done now. I'm going to still decide to go just a little bit more, just a fraction. This time it should be right. Yeah, that's it. Perfect. Right, next little bit is the centre. Nearly went on the floor and got lost. The centre that just slips over the top of the mechanism. It's just a centre band. Again, that's should be smooth. No ridges or anything where it joins the blank. And all we've got to do now, the other end, the other piece, the other blank, we put the other end into that with the clip, and then the pen just pushes together. Everything is in individual plastic bags, so if you do drop anything, you can usually see it in the plastic bag. It's just when you're getting it out, but really need to be on a bench, flat table when you're doing this, so there's no chance of anything getting lost. If any of those dropped and went under the bench, I would have no chance of finding it. So that's the top bit, just slots into the clip. Right, and that goes into the other end, the other half of the blank. I actually had a little bit of copper pipe just showing through, which had just smoothed off on the belt sander. There we go, we just press the top along with the clip into the top part. And that's it. Top part there, and then excuse my dog's barking, somebody's moving the bin outside. And there we have it, that's it, finished, all done. Hope you enjoyed this video.